Okay, so what is this really about? Is this really about this comedian who has long-form conversations with MMA fighters and comedians and politicians, a guy who is mostly a lefty, who was a Bernie supporter? I mean, the funny part of this is the people who love to cancel people should still love Rogan, because even though Rogan has sat down with all of these amazing thinkers on the right and people who talk about freedom all the time, and has interviewed say Jordan Peterson probably eight or nine times, it's like Rogan still came to the conclusion that he should vote for Bernie Sanders and support Bernie Sanders. It's like, that's a whole other issue entirely. But this is a guy who left California because of taxes, right? He gets $100 million, then leaves California because of high taxes brought to you by Bernie types, brought to you by progressives, to move to Texas, where there is no state income tax. So it's not even like he has like a completely holistic view of the world that fully makes sense in line with whatever they're trying to destroy. It's just all so silly. But perhaps it's not about COVID misinformation specifically, and perhaps it's not about talking about the N-word in the past, even though you didn't mean to be racist. Perhaps what this is about is that it's an upending of the world order. The media landscape has changed so drastically, and this is the machine's way of showing who's still boss. So here are two propagandists by the name of Brian Stelter and Jim Acosta. These are Democrats who are on a network known as CNN, which was a place for news at one time, although actually in retrospect, we didn't have the internet, so who knows how much they've been lying about the entire time. But these are Democrats who pretend to be journalists, who now are quite happy, actually, that Spotify is punishing Joe Rogan. Take a look.
Joe Rogan is now apologizing after videos resurfaced of him using the N-word multiple times on his podcast, Patriot Takes, which put the video together as an organization that aims to expose extremism on the far right. The video is an edited compilation of different podcast episodes. Brian, what is Joe Rogan now saying?
He is now apologizing, and we're going to find out if that's enough for Spotify, the company that has an exclusive distribution deal with him. Jim, this is all coming to light because of the recent controversy about anti-vaccine rhetoric on Rogan's podcast. Some artists decided to quit the service. One of them, India Ari, pointed out this video, this compilation video, and pointed out that the language Rogan has used around race in the past is just as, or maybe even more problematic than his rhetoric about vaccines.
That would be enough to put anybody out of a job. I mean, to me, it seems untenable to have that kind of video surface, that kind of compilation surface, and keep one's job. Joe Rogan can continue to host his podcast. If people want to listen to it, they can, but it doesn't have to be on Spotify.
And there are many examples, including in Hollywood and entertainment, where people have lost their roles for less than this, and that may be why Spotify is being so quiet. At the same time, I want to recognize there are reasons why Rogan has lots of fans, millions of fans. People want to hear his candid conversations, but there's a difference between candid, in-depth conversations and the kind of bile that's in this compilation, Jeff.
Bile. There is bile, and it's being spewed by you, Mr. Potato Head. The way they are drooling at someone should. How could he keep a job? What was the line? That would be enough for anyone to lose their job. That's basically what Acosta said. Notice that they never said that he didn't use the N-word to be racist. He didn't use it in a pejorative manner, that he used it when he was either repeating what other people said or when he was mocking people or anything else. They never say that, but they do say far right. There's a website. These people create compilation videos to guard against the far right, and then they use the name Joe Rogan. Do you see, guys, how this whole thing comes together? And why are they really upset? One more time, guys. Why are they really upset? Do you think that Jim Acosta, Democratic activist Jim Acosta, and Democratic activist Potato Head, do you think that they are actually offended by Joe Rogan repeating a word in a non-offensive way? Or is it because more people are paying attention to Joe Rogan? That nobody would pay a dime for Jim Acosta or Brian Stelter if they did not have CNN next to their name. And CNN, which is crumbling, and Jeff Zucker just had to step down, and Tubin masturbated on a Zoom call, and Don Lemon did some weird shit, and they had to get rid of Cuomo and the whole thing. The place is going down, right? The place is going down. Okay, fine. But when it goes down, Jim Acosta is not going to be able to go independent and create a podcast that anyone will pay for, right? Brian Stelter, nobody cares about Brian Stelter. These are people who are corporate suck-ups. They are. I don't know how to describe them in any other way because they lie about absolutely everything, and they're now lying about their opponent because they want to take out their opponent.